So I talked about this before, and Matty McGuire, and in fairness to Matty, he does a great job in saying it straight in Dáil Éireann. And you just put them on their toes, and it's good to see. Again, it's good to see the ministers squirming a bit in their seats like they should be. Because again, they have a lot to answer for, these ministers and TDs. Majority of them have a lot to answer for, especially Neffert. And one thing I agree immensely with Matty is that Neffert should have there should be an independent investigation into Neffert's conduct. And what I mean by that was everything that they'd said, like take for example, face masks and public transport, right? They look at it, the independent from abroad or whatever. People have no relation to anything and won't be on the government payroll or anything like that, or won't be on Neffert's payroll. We'll investigate, look at the documents from Neffert. If again they probably go missing, like Francis Fitzgerald's phones. But again, to look at them and to see what they said, what Neffert was advising the government, was correct. Like take for example, to lock the country down, to close businesses, to widespread just cuts of appointments, hospital appointments and everything like that. Was that necessary? Did it have an effect? Did it have an effect? Because I really, from where I'm seeing from many members of the public, and again, I'm not a public health expert or doctor or anything, I say that straight. And again, take this with a grain of salt. But what I seen, it didn't do any good, because every time we locked down people for 6-7 months, and then we came out 2 weeks later, the numbers will go up, the case numbers, which case numbers at the end of the day means nothing. And they went up, they kept going up, and they kept going up, and they kept going up, which made the lockdowns pointless, because we were back there 2 weeks later in the same boat. Like during Christmas, we were out at the mental asylum to go wander around and to meet with our friends and everything, which was good. But 10 minutes later, we were locked down again. And it didn't make any difference, because we're still here, we're still on this boat, even though we're on an island. It should have been easy to eradicate a virus, because if you close your ports, close your airports, say full stop, nobody's coming into the country, like New Zealand done. But then again, New Zealand can have just snap lockdowns. But again, they don't have any mandates straight away. Because they have the whole country basically locked down. In this country, it didn't make any sense. It wasn't reasonable what they were doing. Take for example, Netflix was saying, but closing pubs, restaurants, everything, closed the whole economy down. Losing hundreds of thousands of jobs, people losing their lives from suicide, from mental health, from people not getting hospital treatment, even from COVID itself. But again, it wasn't as high numbers as we expected, and we have to be totally honest. From what Leo said at the beginning of this crack. But again, this is the question we need to ask ourselves. Was it justified? At the end of the day, was it justified? Because we're still in the same boat. We really are still in the same boat. Nothing has changed. At the end of the day, nothing has changed. We're open, a bit of the country's open. But at the end of the day, nothing has changed. And them lockdowns, it feel like it was for nothing. And we would have to be totally honest, it was totally for nothing. And at the beginning of it too, as we mentioned there a second ago, why did Neffert, again, if Neffert had any brains, why did they not close the airports, and say full stop, nobody's coming into the country, meet to protect our citizens, nobody's coming in, full stop. If they're Irish citizens, they have to stay away. If there were any other citizens, they have to stay away. We're going to close the border between Northern Ireland. We're going to have to do this, and this is the emergency powers we need to implement. Nobody can travel north and nobody can travel south to protect the country, and nobody can come into the Irish Republic. And that would have been reasonable, and I would have been said, that would have been common sense, instead of closing the whole businesses down and everything like that. And it would have been eradicated. I said, but now it would have been eradicated on the island, if they closed the ports and airports. But again, this is what it is about. It's not common sense. Again, this is the thing, as Matty McGrath keeps saying, it's not common sense to using. It's just control tactics and just beating people down. And we have to be totally honest, like, it's not logical stuff they done. Again, like New Zealand, at least you could say whatever about their handling of it. At least they had some common sense. They've done the common sense thing in closing their airports and ports and not letting anybody in. Common sense. We have to be totally honest. But again, Neffert, we have to ask. We do have to ask questions. And people might say they're high and mighty, Neffert, and we can't doubt them. Going by OT, we can't question Neffert. We can't question the government. But yeah, as an Irish citizen and as my taxpaying dollars my tax-paying euros go to them, to Tony Houlihan, to Micheál Martin, sorry, to Leo, to the rest of them. My wages go to that pays their salary. I'm entitled, again, as any Irish citizen under the Constitution, to ask questions and to say, what's happening here? What's going on? Why do I pay you? What's the fucking story? And forgive me for my language. But these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. And, we do need an independent investigation into NPHET. And same with the government, we do need, and if so, criminal charges. But again, that never stand in the courts in this country. It's just bogus. It's really bogus legislation in this country. But it's bogus, and we do need to investigate NPHET and the government independently. Get some people from Iceland, get some people from Greenland, people who are not on the government's payroll, not like NGOs or anything like that, or have an inquiry that's going to have, they had tribunals inquiries and things like that. The cost is billions upon billions upon billions of euro, and at the end of the day, a few pieces of paper saying what was known. Take for example the tribunal we go with it, which Bertie Heron was implicated in corruption. And he had to resign because of an evident that, and obviously went to Brian Cowan, which bankrupted the country. But again, these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. We can't be having bloody tribunals that cost the taxpayer a huge sum of money. We just get an independent inquiry and have the few weeks go on and find everything they need to find out. Thank you.